Okay, so let's get into the basic gameplay. When the game starts, the first thing that the child will be presented with is a screen of a bunch of different sorts of objects that they can play with. Objects, numbers, in this case fruit, colors. Let's assume for this game that they choose the fruit. They'd immediately be taken to a screen where this sort of fun character who's animated would present them with an object, in this case an apple. And they would be able to interact with that object by touch screen, so by using their finger on the screen, they could roll it around, they could perhaps rotate it around, depending on whether we go with 3D objects or not. And if they get that object name correct, if they name it correctly, the system would understand that, and there'd be a little celebratory animation where the character would be like, "Yay!" And the object that they just correctly named would be added to an achievements board, sort of a sticker board, and the letter of that object would also start to be collected below, as would a series of points. And that's the basics of the first type of gameplay, which is see an object, collect the object, see another object, and collect that object until you're done and you return to the main screen. So let's take a look at what happens if you incorrectly name the object. If the kid looks at the object and keeps on naming it but isn't getting it correct, the narrator at that point would start to hint to the kid and would actually speak through the iPhone or iPad, saying in this case, apple, sort of giving hints about what the object is. And if the kid doesn't get that correct after 3 tries, they just move on and show another object. If we're also having difficulty with that object, we just move back to the basic screen and choose some more options. We should also take a quick look at the game modes, the 2 basic types of activities you can engage in the game. The first we just took a quick look at, which is playing the game, selecting an object, and then naming that object, collecting the object until you've correctly named all the objects. The second one is what happens when you hit this More button. And essentially at that point you'll be presented with a series of other types of objects that you can purchase and add to the game through in-app purchase. There's a lot of thinking about what these objects will be, and we'll talk about that in a second. Let's assume that the kid chooses these animals. If they chose those, they'd be immediately purchased through the iTunes store, and the animals would now be part of their basic game selection screen, and they would go through and play a cycle of animals.